Make a good run now, Steve. I'm on it.
Yes, make it count, operators. They build these ships around you.
Welcome to History at GCSE, and hopefully that video has spiked your interest and shown that history's not just about learning about things in the past. It's about understanding the world that we live in today, who we are, what we've done, how to move forwards. And it's also about teaching you these really high-level skills as well. And these skills will be fundamental to you when you go on to study A-levels, when you go on to university, or just out working in the wider world. And these are skills such as sorting evidence, using evidence, being able to structure really clear arguments, and being able to communicate really clearly. For history, then you sit 4 exam papers, and that's 1 exam paper per topic you study. And we're already teaching you now how to answer these questions. So you'll have questions like a simple 4-mark question. So it might ask you, what can you infer from a source? Or describe 2 features of a particular time period. And then these questions build up to the largest question, which is a 16-mark judgment question. So it will ask you, how far do you agree with a particular statement? And those sorts of questions you are already doing now in your Big Writes this year. So let's find out what the course covers. What are these 4 topics that you study in history? This is our first unit in year 10, where we look at what causes disease, how it was treated, how it was prevented, how did doctors try out their medical ideas on patients for the first time, for example, new vaccines perhaps. So this unit is actually really relevant to the current situation that we're in.
In the Middle Ages, barbers were qualified to use a range of razors, knives and scalpels. I'm really, really ill. I think I may possibly even be at death's door. So I've pulled together my last few pence in order to invest in this man, the barber surgeon. Chris, how ill am I actually?
Well, to look at your urine sample, you are pretty ill. Otherwise, you wouldn't have come to me.
This is the first wee of the morning.
This is the first wee of the morning when the colours are its strongest. So the surgeon would be able to tell exactly what was wrong with you from that.
The body supposedly contained 4 humours: blood, phlegm, and yellow and black biles. Ill health was caused by their imbalance. To diagnose a patient, you compared their urine with charts by sight, smell, and...
Our second unit in year 10 looks at Germany after World War I and how one of the most well-known dictators in history was able to rise to power and what Germany looked like while it was in his control. So this topic's really familiar to you because we're doing parts of it already in Year 9 this year. Let's get a little taster of what Year 10 will look like then.
Street battles erupted between extreme right-wing nationalists and communists trying to start a revolution. Then, in 1923, the country was devastated by hyperinflation, which reached hundreds of % a month. Ordinary people's savings were wiped out. This was fertile ground for a new breed of rabble-rousing right-wing politicians. Among them, Adolf Hitler.
In Year 11, we then look at one of history's most ambitious monarchs when we study the early years of Elizabeth I's rule. She challenged views on female leadership. She challenged the church. She challenged other monarchs to war. She was an incredibly ruthless, and she was determined to rewrite the rules of what it was to be a queen.
Tell your king I fear neither him nor his armies.
There is a wind coming that will sweep away your pride.
I too can command the wind, sir! I have a hurricane in me that will strip Spain bare if you dare to try me!
Our mission is to kill a queen.
We will not fear the coming of the shadow of death.
Finally, then in Year 11, we study the American West, and this is one of my favourite topics at GCSE. It's the land of cowboys and Indians. We look at what happens when one civilization arrives to a country and tries to take over the civilization already there. America was a vast, open country inhabited really just by Native American tribes. And this unit looks at how bit by bit that was all eroded by these European settlers who arrived in America and thought that their way of life was the right way. So let's get a little taster of the sorts of things we'll study in Year 11.
Life was tough, certainly after the Civil War, and you had this vast continent that was unexplored. And I think that fostered a big migration to the West.
Over the course of 30 years, more than 430 million acres of land will be settled. But as the U.S. government pushes the nation west, former Confederates, hell-bent on taking back what they lost, become outlaws.
So hopefully that's given you a bit of a taster of what history at GCSE looks like. Obviously, if there's anything else that you would like to know, please do get in contact with any one of us. We'll be happy to answer any further questions that you might have. Otherwise, we really look forward to having you on the history course with us next year.